Hello, welcome everybody. So excited you could join us this evening for another UVA Club of Charlottesville Zoom event. Our club is one of 100 national and international UVA clubs. We exist under the direction of the Office of Engagement to bring programming to alumni, parents, fans, friends, and the community. We offer a variety of social, athletic, service, book club events and everyone is welcome. In addition, we have a scholarship for $500 a year for a local student, incoming student. The scholarship information is on our website if you wish to be supportive in any way. And please join us on this club if you'd like to help or participate in any way. Everyone is welcome and we'd love to hear from you. Tonight, we're happy to bring you a wonderful presentation that celebrates the art of charcuterie and cheese and wines that bring the best flavor of these ingredients and a way to create them on your own. Our presenters are Courtenay Tyler, owner of Tilman's and Tonic, and Elizabeth Trevor, the wine director at Tilman's. They will tell us about their shop and why it's so special and show us how to choose ingredients and bring them together along with wine so that it will delight your palate and your eyes. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy this presentation and it will inspire you to create your own plates. Thank you, Courtenay and Elizabeth, and take it away.
Barbara, thanks for inviting us. We are super excited to invite you guys into our world and things we really love here at Tilman's. For the folks of you who have not been to Tilman's, I just want to tell you a little bit about us and what we do here. So Tilman's, we created Tilman's Cheese and Wine in 2017. And we really love being part of the Charlottesville downtown community. And we really are focused on making cheese and wine accessible to everyone. Wanted to introduce you to Lizzie Trevor. Her name's Elizabeth, but she goes by Lizzie here. You've been with us for what? Two years, a little bit over 2 years. So Lizzie is our wine director here. She does a fantastic job. She selects all of our wines, all of our retail wines, all the wines on our menu. And if you guys happen to be a member of our wine club, she also makes all of those selections. She has a fabulous palate. She's really knowledgeable about what she does. So the two of us will be leading you guys through how to create a cheese and charcuterie experience in your own home. Like I alluded to, what we're really about here at Tilman's is making cheese and wine accessible. So I firmly believe that. In the corner, by the way, is John Trevor. This is Lizzie's husband, and he is helping us because we are not capable of running the computer and talking at the same time. That's his hand. So we love him too. Yeah. Okay, so we're not. But we really believe that cheese and wine should be fun, and it shouldn't be scary. It shouldn't be something that you're intimidated by. So some of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight are how to make it fun, how to make it accessible in your own home. Also, if you don't have exactly the bundle that we're working with, how to make other selections for yourself that are similar, but maybe not exactly the same. Hopefully everybody can learn how to make a board with anything they have in their refrigerator, anything that you could buy at any sort of grocery store or any sort of wine shop. I know that we've got a lot of folks on the call today, and maybe not everybody has been to Tilman's. I did want to say, though, if you can support local independent cheese shops and local and independent wine shops, that is a great thing. People who work in independent shops versus, a big grocery store or a big chain are a little more committed to bringing you items from small producers, cheeses that are maybe organic or local, wines that are organic and local. So anytime that you can support a small and independent cheese shop, a small and independent wine shop, that's a great thing. I did want to pause a little bit and not do all the talking. I wanted to let Lizzie tell you a little bit about how she started in the wine business, and then we'll go from there.
Mostly Courtney took a chance on me, having passion
Great
and interest, and a very similar palate, and a love of old world wines, but also a love of really accessible wines. And what we mean by that is great wines that aren't going to break the bank,
Yep.
Which is something that we're going to touch on today with both of the selections that we have. Great wine does not have to be expensive, and you will enjoy wine more when you learn a little bit about it. So that's what we're going to aim for today. The selections that we have, I would like to go ahead and introduce. For those of you who did purchase the complete bundle, we have the Domaine de la Bergerie Cremant de Loire, and we also have a local selection, the Gabrielle Grasset.
Oh, I know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I need to.
A little bit of feedback.
I think so, though.
So we're going to go ahead and just start with something really simple, but it's a question that I get a lot, and that's how do I open a bottle of sparkling wine with confidence? These are under a tremendous amount of pressure, so you do want to do this in a certain way that's going to be safe. Most sparkling wine bottles have foil wrapped around the cage and the cork. So obviously you're going to remove the foil first. So if you're at home and you have the sparkling wine, you can do this with me. Hopefully it's ice cold. It's important to serve wine at the proper temperature. With sparkling wine, you always want to serve it right out of the fridge. With white wine, you're actually wanting to serve it not fridge temperature, but about 20 minutes after you've taken it out of the fridge. And then for red wines, you're aiming for anywhere from like 62 to 68 degrees. So I'm going to use a towel to grip this. I'm keeping the cage on, and I'm rotating the bottle from the bottom. And I'm working the cork off like that.
It should just be a poof.
And
Not
so,
a pop.
Yeah, not a pop. We're saying we've got the cork off, and we're going to pour into flutes, which is the traditional choice.
Hopefully you guys are following along and opening your bottle. If you don't have this exact bottle, hopefully you'll have something to get you started while we pour. We're nervous, by the way. It's a lot of you guys, and only two of us. So
there are multiple glass types that you can use for sparkling wine. The most traditional is the flute. However, it's perfectly acceptable to use a white wine glass, and you can use a coupe glass as well.
I actually love a white wine glass for sparkling. The reason that most people like flutes is because the tall, narrow shape really puts the bouquet right into your nose, and so you can put your nose in and take a good sniff. But I love a white wine glass because I have white wine glasses, and it's a little less, I don't know, it's a little less formal. And
you can swirl and sniff, and that gives you a better tasting experience if you're just trying to taste the wine. And then coupe is really fun too. So cheers.
Cheers. One of the reasons that we chose sparkling, Lizzie and I did, obviously we could have chosen a lot of different things. And to start with is we really think that sparkling goes with everything. And at Tilman's, every year we make the same New Year's resolution, and that is to drink more bubbles. We're doing a fine job. We're doing a great job. I hope that you guys also have fun New Year's resolutions like that. I love a Cremant de Loire. We also chose it because it's inexpensive, and Lizzie's got a lot of great information about this. So if you guys don't have this particular wine, but you want to have an experience in your house, some other things that you could choose would be a nice Prosecco. A Cava is great. They're also inexpensive and fun. So if you also want to drink more bubbles and have more bubbles and more celebrations in your life, those are great inexpensive choices that don't break the bank. So you don't have to always buy a champagne to get a great bubble experience. So I'll let Lizzie talk about this wine because it's really flippin' delicious.
It's so good. It's good. So generally speaking, champagne is much more expensive. However, Cremant is produced in the same method. It's called the traditional method, and it is regulated by law. There are a lot of really strict French laws, and that kind of helps secure the product as being really delicious. This Cremant was aged for 24 months on lees, and it has 0 dosage, so no sugar added. It's bone dry. As we mentioned, it is from the Loire Valley, specifically Anjou, and this producer farms organically. It's 70% Chenin Blanc and 30% Chardonnay. It's so clean and so crisp, and it has a really lovely fruit flavor, but it's also got citrus. It's dry and still provides a full creamy mouthfeel.
The Loire Valley is a great region also for bargains. It's one of the reasons we love it so much here at Tilman's. It's got that nice gravelly soil, so you're getting a lot of minerality and wines from this region, and it's just a great value region. So if you are looking to find the wines that you can drink every day, I highly recommend that you explore the region. It's fantastic, not only for the sparkling wines, but for some of their still wines as well.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have a cheese also from the Loire Valley tonight too. So
yeah, so I wanted to talk just briefly about what makes the traditional method a little bit more expensive, and that's because it is quite labor intensive. First, you start with a still wine, and then yeast is added, and it undergoes a second fermentation, and then it's aged on lees, which means it's aging with the yeast in the bottle for anywhere for Cremant from 9 months to 36 or more. And then after that, a process called disgorgement happens, where the yeast is filtered out of the wine, and then the dosage is added. Like I mentioned with this Cremant, there is no dosage, but the dosage is the sugar, and the sugar levels are adjusted, and then that's indicated on the label. And then the bottle is recorked and shipped. So this labor-intensive process raises the prices, but I would encourage you to look for Cremant from all of the wine-producing regions of France, and specifically Alsace. Really love Alsatian Cremants as well.
I don't know if you guys, some of you guys have been in, you will see if you're buying wines from our region that, our store, that all of our wines are typically 35 and under. It is a huge deal for me that people will be able to drink affordable wines. But now that we've got our first wine open, if you guys do have the bundle, if you want to go ahead and start opening your bundle, go ahead and do it. I'm going to stand up. John's going to push our camera down a little bit. I'm going to show you guys the cheese board that I've created with items that are in the bundle. I did this board really quickly. I wanted you guys to be able to see that you can create a nice cheese and charcuterie board for your guests in probably under a half an hour easily. I make a lot of cheese boards. I would say I did this one in about 10 or 15 minutes. And this is everything that is in your bundle. Pretend like this is a TV show and hand this off to John. And then we're going to start to open up your bundles and get to creating a board. I did also bring some platters from my house. These are just typical whiteware that I think that you guys would have around in your house. I like a square and rectangular shape. Some people might have just a regular plate. And I think that both of those are perfectly good options. So in your bundles, some people chose just the cheese and some people chose cheese and charcuterie. So I'm going to start with the cheeses that you guys got in your bundle. We had 3 cheeses. The first one is this nice white creamy bûcheron. You guys should have gotten a nice hunk of this. This is, they look very similar, by the way. They're labeled, hand labeled if you have a bundle. This is a Comté. It's a French Alpine cheese. And this little wedge here is a Sal Arati. It's a French sheep's milk cheese. So like I mentioned, you guys might have the bundle and you might not. So my big tip for people who are beginning to make a cheese board is to have a theme in mind. The theme that we chose this evening is cow, sheep, goat. So we have a cow's milk cheese, which is the Comté. We've got a sheep's milk cheese, which is the Aerators, and we have a Boucheron, which is a goat's milk cheese. So there are options that you can choose at your grocery store that are not exactly these cheeses, and you can have a nice themed board. After I wrote my notes up and we chose the wines, I wrote in the comments, also France. Because we
This is about
basically,
France.
let's sit back down so you guys can see me. But I realized after I put these all together that everything I chose was a French cheese, and the wine obviously that we started with was a French sparkling, and the second wine that we're going to have is actually a Virginia wine, but it was really French inspired. So some of my big tips for you guys, if you're making a theme for your guests or even for yourself for a special evening, is to just have a loose theme, and you can really play on that theme. So this instance, I really had two things. It could be French, or it could be this cow, sheep, goat theme. You could do something local. You could do something like all three blues. You could do 3 cow's milk cheeses. You could do goat's milk cheeses from around the world. There's lots and lots and lots of things that you can do.
One thing that we've been doing in the shop, which has been a lot of fun, is matching the wines we choose for our membership with cheeses of the same region. And
Yes.
that just makes a lot of sense because it's all regional and thematic, and you can get a lot of great pairings that way.
It's a great point. The first cheese that we have is the Boucheron. And it's from the Loire Valley, and the wine that we chose for this evening is a Cremant de Loire, also from the Loire Valley. So it's called terroir. It's kind of a hard word to say, but it just means that you're getting the essence of that region through those cheeses and through those wines. You're really tasting the grasses and the milks, the grasses and the flowers through the milk of that cheese. Same thing with the wine. You're really tasting the soil. You're tasting the weather a lot of times in that wine. So it's a great thing to do to play with. But for tonight, I really chose cow, sheep, goat, so I thought it would be easy for everybody to get a cheese that would be similar from their grocery store. So I'm going to go back down to the cheese board and kind of show you guys just some tricks of the trade. Like I say, I started with just a plain rectangular board. The board that I made earlier was square. I like to use small round containers, and I like to think in threes. So some of the things that we'll be doing tonight is thinking in threes. I like to keep my Boucheron whole. So I'm going to put a bowl here that we're going to use some of our condiments with, and I'm going to do the Boucheron right to the side. One of the things that's not in your bundle, by the way, is fresh fruit. I did get some grapes. The tool that I like to use for grapes is a pair of kitchen shears. And I'm just going to snip off a nice bunch. And that's really going to be my third thing on the plate. So as you see, you're really doing something really simple. And I kind of like to do a triangle. So I've got where I'm going to do my condiment. I've got a whole cheese here, and I've got a fruit. You guys don't have to use grapes. You could use apples, slices. You could also use something like a dried fruit in a cup, or if you've got 2 condiments, you can also do that. So this is kind of the basis. I did want to tell you guys about Boucheron, and just so you have a little bit of history, because cheese is about history and wine is about history. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about the Boucheron, and then we'll kind of get back to making the board and drinking some wine. So Boucheron, like I mentioned, is a goat's milk cheese. You can really tell a goat's milk cheese a lot of times by the color. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's bright white. We're sort of in the background of Tilman's. The lighting is not great.
I think we had a lighting
exactly.
designer.
So, but goat's milk cheeses are usually bright white. So if you don't have something like the Boucheron, If you were at the store, you could use a fresh goat's milk cheese, which is really readily available. Most areas too have a local fresh goat's milk cheese. I really highly recommend them. They're delicious. The Boucheron, like I mentioned, is from the Loire Valley. We love it because you kind of get two cheeses in one. I don't know how much you guys can see it. I feel like I'm in a weird makeup tutorial. Bizarre. But anyway, I'm going to do it anyway. Ha! So you'll have two sort of textures and a Boucheron. It is a bloomy rind, so you get this nice white rind. And you'll have like a brie-like texture around, which is sort of more of a yellowy color, and then the nice bright white. So your cheese should be more like a brie texture towards the center, towards the outside, excuse me. And then it should be like a fresh cheese towards the center. I've got a whole one here just so you can kind of see what it looks like. My prop man, John.
Thank you,
That's great. I know, props. So this is, Boucheron, by the way, means lumberjack. And I think you guys can see why. It's a log. It's a soft, ripened cheese. And if you are a cheesemonger, if you love cheese, one of my favorite all-time things to do when you get a fresh cheese is to pat the rind down. It's really sort of, it's like soft and silky, and it's fantastic. It's called a bloomy rind. So what is happening here is the cheesemaker actually puts a it's a bacteria. There's no other way to say it, but it's called Penicillium candidum. So they spray it on the cheese, and it eats out the fresh milk, and it creates this ripening, which makes it soft and creamy. But this is one of the reasons we love Boucheron. It's the lumberjack of France, and lots of cultures have them, by the way. Spain also will have a Boucheron. Italy will have a Boucheron. There will be, in most cultures in Europe, a soft ripened goat's cheese, which is fantastic. We love this obviously with sparkling, but if you don't have sparkling and you want to think about other things that you would have with your cheese board, goat's milk cheeses love bright, light, herbal whites. So think about Sauvignon Blanc, think about Pinot Gris, think about Pinot Grigio, like all the Italian whites. Lizzie's mouthing to me, which I love. She knows what I like. So Verdicchio, Vernacchia, like all of those great Italian whites are going to love a fresh goat cheese. So you can start with this basic, and you might not have this exact one, but you can really get the idea and have something that would be similar and that would go really well. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of pairing with the sparkling with this cheese, think about how when you buy sparkling wine, we talked about, well, it just pairs well with so many different things. It's kind of your go-to. I don't know what to get a sparkling wine. Think about how the acidity of the sparkling wine is going to cut through and balance really high fat foods, fried foods, triple cream cheeses. It's just a fantastic match.
Yes. Good. Other things that you guys probably have in your pack is crostini. Funny story here at Tilman's, by the way. We started making crostini here in house in the very early days because we had leftover bread, and now my kitchen hates me because we're like a crostini factory because they're really, really delicious. If you guys want to make these at home, by the way, it is just baguette, this thinly sliced. We dot them with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of fresh garlic, and oregano, and that's it. And then you crisp them up in the oven until they're nice and golden brown. I did want to show you guys a couple of little easy tricks if you're doing a board. There's two things that we do here at Tilman's all the time, and they're really simple. You could also do this with crackers if you don't have a crostini, but I think the most effective is just to stack them. So I just do two down, just like tic-tac-toe. And so you do that, and there's one that's broken. Wah, wah. But this to me is the most effective kind of little trick. It's visually interesting. It's not just crackers on a plate, so that's an easy one to do, and your guests can just pick it up, and it's really easy. The other one that we do a lot here at Tilman's, I'm going to turn the broken one over. You can hide it. Is like a little crisscross. So I just take my crostini and do a crisscross pattern, just like this. And I'll show you guys. So it looks like that, and you can see with your threes too, you've really got three main things, and then you would have like your grapes. So already you've got a visually interesting cheese board to start with. You've got a fantastic cheese. You've got the crostini, you've got a fresh fruit, and that's a nice way to start your board. We'll fill this up, by the way, later with some condiments. You guys have got some great condiments in your board, in your bundle. I've stuck them somewhere. Aha. So they look like this. They have our cute little sheet on them. If you guys got the bundle, the first one that I really love is this Big Jam. Is from Preservation Society. They're based out of Virginia. They're actually really fantastic folks. It goes with everything. If you do not have this particular one, I recommend any sort of jam or something sweet. I love sweet with cheese. The Preservation Society is Claire and Oliver Turner, and they also do the Virginia Chutney Company. The other condiment that you guys have in your bundle is this one. It is a rosemary infused honey that we make here at Tilman's. If you guys are so inclined and you feel industrious, you can infuse honey yourself. It's really simple. You just heat up the honey until it's warm, not hot, or you will make yourself some hard stage caramel, which is we've done, and it was bad. But you just put a few sprigs of fresh rosemary in it, which you guys actually were included in your packs, and you let it steep, and it really gives the essence of it. And if not, you can just use honey. Honey's great. But I, of course, forgot to bring a spoon, so I'm going to let you guys use your imagination, but it would be in your bowl to have some sort of jam or chutney there for you guys. Oh, Lizzie got me a spoon because Lizzie's bringing. Yeah. So you guys can see we pack them up. And by the way, if you get one of our boards to go, typically you will see one of these. If you're doing something at home, this is perfect just to do it in a small bowl with a small knife. And that's a great way to serve there. I'm going to take a moment because I know that Lizzie wants to talk to you guys about decanting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to decant, which is fun.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people know about decanting.
Or there's like a little bit of mystery, right? And it's not very mysterious at all. Decanting is very simple. Basically, you can decant red and white wine. People think maybe it's just for red wine. No, it's actually for wine generally, to let it breathe and to develop. And what we wanted to bring your attention to with our next wine, if you have a moment to do this, you do not have to have a decanter. Today we are using the Rydell Merlot decanter for the Gabriele Rasse Merlot. However, you could use a watercraft, you could use a pitcher of any kind that you have, maybe for
I've
tea.
used a plastic quart container before.
Yeah.
Basically all you're trying to do is get some oxygen on that wine.
Yeah.
So I think people get really intimidated by decanting, but you don't need to have a special decanter to get the same effect. And I think some people are really surprised. I've actually done it before here at Tilman's. We had a Brunello that was really beautiful for, Barolo, for Wine Club, for like probably 2 years ago for Wine Club. They really needed to breathe.
Yeah,
and
very
when
tight.
Super tight, so if you've got a wine with like some tight tannins, it's a great thing to do.
Which
But
is true of Nebbiolo, kind of generally
Yes.
speaking. It really does. It could decant for hours. The general recommendation for Merlot is 30 minutes at minimum, which is why I've been decanting this since we started our call. If you have a moment to open your Merlot and give it some time to breathe before we talk about this wine and the story behind Gabriele Rasse, I would recommend it. Wines benefit greatly by having some time to breathe the air.
breathe is what they say.
Yeah.
But like I say, if you don't have a decanter, you can just pour it into a tea pitcher or something like that in your house, and you're getting the same benefit. So it doesn't, you don't have to have a special vessel for this. But we did want to pause and let you guys, if you were following along and you were going to have the Merlot, now would be a great time to decant it. And then we'll move on to the next cheese.
One little note about it, I would recommend looking for a decanter that's easy to clean.
Yes.
There are all kinds of shapes and sizes, but basically for practicality, I would recommend going with something that is very simple and classic. I do really like the Rydell Merlot decanter for that reason. It works great.
Don't have to do anything weird. Those funny ones. Stick a bottle
Yeah.
brush in there.
I still wouldn't put that in the dishwasher, but you know, it's easier to clean.
So I was going to show you guys your next cheese if you are following along with your bundle. The next cheese that we have is called Boucheron. It is this one right here. By the way, you might have a little bit of a different shape. I started cutting this, and I will show you guys how to do some cutting as well. This is a larger wheel of Boucheron. It's about a quarter of a wheel, so you can see about what size it would be. I'm saying Boucheron. I've lost my mind.
You have, it's
A Aerators. I just thought Boucheron is fun to say.
Well, you're looking at the Boucheron.
I am looking at Boucheron. Sorry, it's a Aerators, everybody. I've led you astray on the cheese journey. A Aerators is a really fun cheese. It is the sheep's milk cheese of our portion of our evening, of our cow, sheep, goat. So the piece that I have is actually one that I already cut for the big board. I like this size and piece of cheese. I call it a pie wedge. You can kind of see why. So if you're making your own board, I like to cut straight down. I mentioned I've already cut a portion of this off for the first board, but I like to go straight down. And then I'm going to make these long triangle shapes. You go straight down with your knife. By the way, if you did purchase your bundle, the board that I made was straight from the bundle, and I had plenty of cheese left over, which is normal. That means you can actually probably get 2 cheese boards out of your bundle. So I'll cut 4 or 5 pieces. I like uneven numbers, by the way. So I have 5 pieces here that I went straight down on those Aerators. I'm going to hand this over to Lizzie.
Thank you.
And then basically you can see where we started our board. We've got our condiment, we've got our crostini, we've got our Boucheron. I like to take these and just put them onto the side. And you'll see, by the way, that I kind of moved it around. You'll find different places on your own board. And you might not have a rectangle, but they're pretty. It's a nice shape. I like to leave the rind on, by the way. You can see in the picture, it's got a little bit of color, and they're kind of like a weird cheese handle. So I don't know about you guys, but I like to eat with my fingers and I like to eat with my hands. So if you do that, people can pick it up really nicely and take a nice chomp out of it. So that's where we are there. I did want to give you guys some background on the sour. Do we still have a towel? Yeah. So grab the towel real quick. This is probably a great tool for you guys to have. Y'all probably be in your kitchen with a sink, but I am not. So I got a little wet towel with me to make sure that I don't have grimy hands. But a Aerators is our sheep's milk cheese of the evening. Like I mentioned, it's also French. It is a really, really old cheese, meaning that it has been made for centuries. And in fact, it's been made they say for almost 3,000 years. I don't really know how to know that. I'm going to just take their word for it. But there's apparently some Greek mythology about this cheese. Monks have been making this cheese for hundreds and hundreds of years in the Pyrenees Mountains. The Pyrenees Mountains are really that area in between, known as Basque Country, in between France and Spain. Great food culture there. And it's just a shepherd's cheese. So sheep are everywhere in the mountains. It's a very easy cheese for people to transport. Like I say, it's a wheel that's about eight pounds. One of my favorite things about cheeses and when they get so popular is that they get to be currency, which is fantastic. You're like, cheese is so good, I'm going to pay you with 5 cheeses. Everybody's like, yay, where's my cheese? So a Sauerratti is one of those cheeses. Sheep smoked cheese, by the way, if you can't find a Sauerratti, probably the most famous one is Manchego. I wanted to give you guys something different in your pack, so I wanted to give you something that would be a new taste experience. And again, France. But it's, if you guys look at it, well, I'm not going to mess up the cheese board. Anyway, this is a little bit yellower. It's deeper in color. It's because it has a higher fat content. So those cheeses go really, really, really well with wines. And I mean every wine. So if you're ever in doubt, you can choose a sheep's milk cheese and it will really pair well across the board. We really tried hard not to always give you guys Manchego for wine club, but it's so delicious with wine.
I'm like, are you sure you want to use Manchego again? And she said, yes,
Yeah.
no, I'm positive.
I'm positive. But another good thing, if you don't want to do Manchego, is Pecorino. Pecorino is just the Italian word for sheep's milk cheese. And you can do a young one and you can do an aged one. A Sauerratti typically is a medium aged cheese. It's aged about 6 to 8 months. It's a fantastic option. So should we talk about wine now? We talked about.
All right, so yeah, let's talk a little bit about wine.
Yeah.
So for those of you who have the Gabriele Rasse Merlot with you, I'm really, really excited that you all recommended that we feature a local wine. Mm-hmm. Gabriele Rasse is actually known as the father of Virginia wine. And this is a really fantastic story. He arrived in the area in '76 and partnered with Gianni Zonin to figure out how they could have wine, a successful wine region in Virginia. And anybody at that time who knew anything about wine was going to guess that it was a failure. Nobody believed that it was possible. And it's primarily because Virginia has a very difficult climate for wine. It's very hard, the winters, and some other challenges with the climate. What Gabriele figured out is that the vines weren't hardy enough. And he decided that he was going to study and tinker and work to make new grapes, stronger grapes. And he was successful in that venture and proved everyone wrong, which was very exciting for him. And the first successful vineyard was Barboursville. And that was just the first of many that he worked on and consulted for a lot of different vineyards around the area. Eventually, he decided he wanted to make his own wine and have his own winery. And his first vintage was in '97. And they opened their tasting room about 5 years ago. And before I knew any of this, and before I got really interested in the history of Virginia wine, I really enjoyed my experience at their tasting room, and I would highly recommend that you all visit. It's near Scottsville on Carter's Mountain Road, and it's tucked in the woods. It's this very cool, modern building, a tiny tasting room. And of course, now they're only doing tastings outside, and they are self-guided. So they bring the little bottles to your table and tasting notes for each wine. What they excel at is experimentation, hospitality, kindness. I think that they are doing really fun projects. In addition to their regular Gabriele Rasse line, they also have the Vino dal Bosco series. And some of these wines are tasting room only. And I would encourage you to go to the tasting room and try them. They are low intervention, no sulfites added, stainless steel aging on the reds. My favorite is the Malvasia Bianca amber wine, and it is so small production that you have to get it at the tasting room. So go there, enjoy the beautiful scenery and the excellent hospitality. Today I want to talk about the Merlot, this specific Merlot, but also why Merlot does really well in Virginia, and it's because of clay soil. When you think about French Merlot, most prominently produced in the right bank of Bordeaux, that's clay soil as well. And while Old World Merlot is a little bit different from New World, we see that this wine does really well here because of the soil. Merlot on the spectrum of wine falls kind of right in the middle. We have Pinot Noir, Gamay, Frappato on these lighter bodied, and then the fuller bodied wines like Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon. But Merlot is right in the middle, and it hasn't gotten as much attention as Cabernet Sauvignon, but it is the second most produced varietal in the world. And it is super versatile because it has more silky tannins, luscious fruit, and it pairs well with pretty much everything except for maybe spicy food and fish. So if you haven't given it much attention, I would highly recommend that you do because it is so yummy. And I would look out for Virginia produced Merlot and also Virginia Petite Manseng, which really loves this climate and these soils. You know, Cabernet Franc and Viognier get a lot of attention here, but I would put Merlot and Petite Manseng on your radar for sure.
And Merlot got a bad rap with Sideways, the movie, which really did not deserve.
Which was really misunderstood. Honestly.
Totally misunderstood. But listen, Merlot is a great overall cheese pairing wine, which is one of the reasons we love it. I'm gonna have a sip because this wine is fun. We're having fun, right?
Well, this Merlot, I want to talk a little bit about the production on this. This is aged in French oak for 12 months. A combination of 1 to 2 year old barrels. And while 2018 was a difficult vintage for Virginia, this shows really nicely right about now. It's something that you could drink currently, but also you could age this as well. It's really
delicious. And like, if people don't like this wine, I don't know. I mean, it's just very, very friendly. So it's a great choice. I think,
crowd pleaser.
Very big crowd pleaser. So let's talk more about cheese because cheese is what I love.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some cheese. I'm gonna put my wine down right here. The next cheese that you guys probably have in your bundle is a Comté. It looks like this, probably. You guys may have a different size or shape. That's because cheese changes as you cut. But a little bit about Comté and how to cut it for your board. I am going to do something I call shingling.
Can I help you?
There you go. We are definitely not a professional TV squad. Sorry, guys.
What? I thought we were.
We're gonna make it easy for us. But something I call shingling. So before we did the triangles, this one I'm just gonna go straight down. Again, I did remove the rind earlier, so I've got rind on this side and I've got rind on that side. Oops. Gotta flip it back over. There we go. So I'm just going to shingle it. So I'm going to basically cut it into matchsticks, or if you've got a thicker piece, like I mentioned, you might have a different size. You can still go straight down. Again, I'm going to cut it so that I have rind on one side, so it's kind of like a cheese handle for people to pick up. You can keep them long if you want, like this. These are sort of long, nice little slices. Or you can cut them in half, which is sort of what I tend to do. So I'll just stack them and cut them in half. And it's a really simple way to get it onto your board. And you don't have to be fancy. I'm gonna hand you that. And I'm winging this one, you guys. So we'll see where it goes, right?
You're
so,
good at winging it.
I'm just gonna stack them side by side. And once you get your big three, like I mentioned around, I just start stacking things around them. So Lizzie, my hand model. Basically my goal is in the end is for us not to really see much plate.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might have some left over, so you get to eat it. So that's
not
we
bad.
call them Scooby snacks here, by the way. So so you just basically shingle it onto your board, and once you get it onto your board,
Sorry, I'm doing a little bit too much.
Lizzie's
lifting.
doing too much. You can move it around. You can make it more straight. You can make it more like a snake. And then sometimes you might
Don't
be like,
be
I
afraid
don't
to
know.
move stuff around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
play with it and just make it what you want it. Let the cheese be the cheese, right?
Right. So that all the time. Let the cheese be the cheese. So then I'm gonna wipe this little condiment off here. But you can start to see that we're getting more on our cheese board, and you don't need a lot, by the way. You're just making a snack. So especially if it's 2 or 3 people, you just want people to have a little tidbit when they are coming over to your house. And personally, by the way, me and my husband really like to just make a cheese board for ourselves. So then we watch a movie, but I do think that people eat with their eyes. So you like to have something pretty to eat for yourself. So simple, easy, you can put it together in 4 or 5 minutes. Now that we have wine, hope everybody is drinking their wine with us while we're making it.
Yeah.
I wanted to introduce you to a couple other things in your bundle. If you guys did do the charcuterie bundle, you will have some really pretty meats, which mine have some rosemary on it because I cut some rosemary. But you will have some sopressata. So I wanted to show you guys a little bit of a trick and talk to you guys about some sopressata. Sopressata is an Italian style salami. Salami is fermented and cured, and it's usually coarsely ground, so you'll see like fat. By the way, one of the reasons also I tell you to frequent and to go to independent retailers, independent cheese shops, is they will do a really nice job when they slice your meats. And if you go to the grocery store, sometimes you'll get like a big wad, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
So one of my tricks for you guys, if you have salami, it's just a simple fold. It is really just a fold it in half, but you'll want to pinch it here with your fingertips at the bottom, and you're going to make it sort of crisscross at the bottom. You can also hide it if it's not a full round circle. And we're kind of going to make a fan. So I like to take my fans of salami and push them up. So I think I've got 5 pieces here, which is pretty typical. And I like to push them up on the board. I like height on my boards. So you see that you've got a really nice thing, and it's really a simple motion. There's nothing fancy about that, by the way. It is literally a semicircle.
But it looks lovely.
But it looks lovely.
That's a little bit of a trick.
But I will show you this fancier trick. So if you want to be fancier, it's just a double fold. So you fold it in half, and then you just pinch it, and you kind of have a double fold like this. And if you put a bunch of these together, it's sort of like a flour, a meat flour, which is the only flour I want to have. If you put these together, you see I'm sort of doing a fold. They're like this. So that's even fancier. So I like to kind of use my meat as a garnish. And so you can see the board is starting to flesh out a little bit. So that's where we are on the board. Hopefully you guys can kind of see where we are without it kind of moving around a lot. So John, who is our technical wizard, is showing you that on the camera. Some things that you can also do at this point, but you don't have to. There's some fun things that you guys got in your pack. I like both sweet and savory accompaniments on my board. So you've probably got these gorgeous little cornichon. Cornichon are tiny pickles. They said, what you have to say when you open a can. Tiny pickles. But they're great. They're super, super little sour gherkins. And I like to put them right sort of in the center of my folds of the meats. Mustard is also a great accompaniment. We didn't have it in the package, but it's certainly something that you could put on your board. But I love little cornichon. If you are at home and you don't have tiny French gherkins, a regular pickle will do. I like banana peppers, anything sort of vinegary. Jardinera is great. Your mom's pickles. My mom makes great pickles. I hope your mom makes pickles. So like those are really fun things. And you can see we're starting to flesh out the board a little bit more. I'm going to start with, we're running out of time. I can talk about cheese all day long. All right, Amy. So anyway, another thing that you guys probably had in your bundle is speck. I'm going to open that up and show it to you. Beautiful. Again, like I say, beautiful, right? It's like a neat picture. I love it. So speck is from Italy. It is from the northern region called Alto Adige. Speck is a smoked prosciutto. It's also it's really flat. It's flatter than a regular prosciutto. So they debone the ham and then they flatten it. And most speck has juniper and garlic and pepper. I'm sorry, juniper and pepper on it. So juniper is the predominant spice you're gonna get. If you watch what I'm sort of doing with my hands, is I'm squashing it at the base
And not rolling it. Why? You don't want it to, you want to bite into something so dense.
I don't know. I feel like rolling is just sort of laborious.
Okay.
I will say I'm not a perfectionist. Everybody who knows me knows this about me well. So I like to do things fast and easy. So I just kind of pinch it at the bottom, and it kind of makes another meat flour, like I was talking about.
Yeah.
So
and it also gives it a lifted.
Yeah, and again, I like height. So I'll take my piece, and I kind of just pinch it right at the bottom. This piece is separated. It's not cooperating. There we go. And so I call this the meat river. And you can move the meat river, like I mentioned, you can kind of move it around. So you're starting to see we're really getting a nice board here. And I like to put the meats, again, like almost like a garnish. Got two pieces there. So I'll put him around here too.
Again, filling the white space. I want to put a little plug in for wines from Alto Adige. Pinot Bianco, Schiava. These are wines to look out for from that region. It's really crisp and bright and clean. Schiava is a light-bodied red that can be chilled. It's really delicious.
So as you guys see, it's still a pretty board. We've got the red grapes, we've got the meats, we're drinking our wine. But I did want to, one thing that you guys got in your bundle, you might be like, what? A piece of rosemary. I love this because it gives a little bit of color. You're not really gonna eat the rosemary. I just snip it with a pair of kitchen shears, and I like to put it either on the cheese.
Yeah.
It's just pretty. And it's just nice, right? So you can do something like that, this little color, or you can snip it and run it down your river of meat. So you can do that as well. Just kind of putting right in there.
Fresh sprigs. Yeah.
A couple of fresh sprigs, and so you've got a little bit of color. Because cheese, let's face it, most cheese is brown or white or yellow. So, right, so we need a little bit of color in there.
Yep.
So this is really what you guys have in your board, with one other exception. You guys have got honey. And honey, I think it's something that everybody has in their house. This is the one that we use here for tea. It actually says honey because you got to label everything in a restaurant. But something that I like to do with the honey that's great on a board, I'm going to move this and we'll put it back. Is just put a little bit of honey on a cheese, and that way if somebody wants honey, they can eat the cheese with the honey, and if somebody doesn't like honey, they can eat the part that doesn't have any honey on it. Yeah. So I just like to drizzle a little bit of honey right on half of the cheese, and so you get a little bit there. Honey is delicious with cheese. Like I said, we have the rosemary one in the pack, which again is picked up by your rosemary garnish. So it's just a really simple little cheese board that you guys can make in your house and feel good about. Here's the one that I made it on the fly with you guys. And this is the one that I made a little bit differently. It's a square board. And you can see it's still the same concept. I use the round, there's the honey, we've got our meat river, there's some fruit, there's a stack. We've got our assaorati, we've got pomte, and we've got this little cornichon. And just the only other thing that I'd mentioned is if you guys want other condiments, if you go to Tilman's a lot, things that you might have in your house that we use frequently is we have little dried apricots. You can do any dried fruit. It adds more color. We have nuts frequently. So this is a smoked almond. I really love smoked nuts with alpine cheeses and cheeses that are stronger. We also use Marcona almonds. Another thing that we use is dried cherries here. And you can put a little bit of dried cherries on your board. Again, if you've got figs, dried apples.
Another way to like just finish the board off, like eliminating that white space,
Yeah.
and just filling it, making it really lush.
And so you can see there's a little bit of white space here. I mean, you can go in and add nuts. You could go in and add more garnish. It does not really matter. And here's the great thing about it: if you're serving great wine, most people are going to be happy.
Yeah.
And cheese and wine makes everybody happy. So this is basically our finished board here. So hopefully you guys could follow along pretty simply with us and make your own at home and impress all your friends or your partner or yourself and have a nice dinner. So
I love this movement of
Yes.
doing cheese boards for self-care. I think
Yes.
that's really fabulous. It has become kind of this trendy thing, but for good reason, because it gives you the opportunity to create something that you feel good about and then to sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah. And then a lot of people actually, when we started this, were asking me about charcuterie, the term charcuterie. And they're like, is charcuterie a cheese board, or is it cheese and meat, or what is charcuterie? And you know, language evolves, which is great. I love language, right? So I think people use charcuterie now as a shorthand to mean cheese and charcuterie boards. That's a mouthful, right? So if somebody wants to say a charcuterie board and it's got tortilla chips on it, or if it's got chocolates, or if it's got gingerbread people, and it just means a snack board, I am down.
Yeah.
Like, I really definitely believe that if you want to have other things on your board, it is not supposed to be something that's strict and formal. It's supposed to be something that's fun and enjoyable and hopefully delicious. So
Sure.
yes.
Do we want to touch on a few things that we do at Tilman's before we do the
Yes.
Q&A?
Yes, we would love for you guys to come see us, by the way.
Yeah, please do. We get this question a lot. How are we facilitating guests? Well, we do offer patio seating. We offer appropriately spaced indoor dining. We
have masks on normally.
Everybody wears a mask.
I'm like a professional mask wearer.
Yeah, most of the time that I spend is with a mask on.
Yes.
And so we are very diligent about our sanitizing and distancing. But if that's not for you, we offer takeout, and we also offer catering. You can go and explore all of the various things that you can purchase online. And
where are our
sorry?
props? Where are our props?
Props. Oh yes. Okay, so here's some props. So for those of you who visited us before the pandemic, our menu now is a little bit smaller, but we do offer a lot of like the most popular items that you are probably more familiar with, including seasonally appropriate and regularly rotating wines by the glass bottle, tasting flights.
Flights are great, by the way. It's a great way to learn, to figure out what you like.
Yeah.
So our flights always change. That's a big component of Tilman's. Is if you had it here once, by the way, you probably won't have it again.
Yeah.
In terms
we
of
like variety, which is why we like wine and cheese.
Yes.
So we also have specials every day. We have a fantastic happy hour menu. We do $6 happy hour wines by the glass.
Unheard of.
It's pretty fantastic. And we also have fun snack boards and small plates to share for happy hour as well. Additionally, we have a monthly wine club program, which brings
great.
It's kind of It's so much
I
fun.
probably couldn't read that.
It's so
our
much
wine club.
fun. We get to pick a theme every month, explore that theme through wine and cheese, and then even if you're not a member, you can come in the first weekend of every month and taste through our wine and cheeses by specific flights. You can buy it by the glass, by the bottle. You can become a member. This month, we are actually exploring the heart of Italy. And by this month, I mean next weekend, which is actually March. We will be exploring Tuscany, Umbria, Marche. We're super excited to bring you different wines all the time. And we would love to talk to you more about that. You can find more info on our website, tilmanscheeseandwine.com. You can come in and chat with us. We are super excited to share those wines with you.
I mean, I think the biggest part of being a wine club member too is you're we call it the inner circle. So once you're in the inner circle with us, you're the peeps, you're the fam. So
you also get really great benefits.
You do.
You get coupons to use in the store. You get your complimentary tasting every month, and you get first dibs on every exciting thing that's happening here.
Yeah, but this has been great fun. Hopefully you guys learned a few tricks. If you take one thing away from this class, I would say it's drink what you like, eat what you like. It's all good.
Thank you, ladies. You are amazing. I normally stop the program about 10 minutes before it's supposed to end, and get the questions. No, you guys were wonderful, and I can tell you why I by the numbers, because I'm a numbers person. We had almost 130 people on, and very few ever dropped off. Normally halfway through, I can tell if the program's going well, and I'm very happy everyone stayed with us, because it's wonderful to have everyone here all the way to the end. We had a couple of questions. The question about wine stoppers and what do you recommend if you have any that don't corrode, and what is your opinion on in-bottle aerators?
I mean, I think we both have some opinions there. We use a really simple preservation method here at Tilman's that anyone can use. It's called wine preserver. It's a air vacuum. So they're basically plastic. You put them in your wine and you pump the oxygen out of your wine. They cost about $20. So again, very accessible. I think we have a few on the shelf here, but you just put a plastic stopper back into your bottle and you pump it out. Wine bottle aerators, I think, are great for fast aeration. Sometimes you got to do it. Like either you don't have a decanter. By the way, I live in a townhouse, and I realized that I got rid of my decanter, so we went out and bought one. So those little in-bottle aerators are usually about, I don't know, like $6 or $7. And they just aerate it as you pour it into your glass. It's an inexpensive way to do it. But I do think that if you're serving something like a Chateauneuf pop, or something that's really big, or that you spend a lot of money on, decant it. Even if it's in a tea pitcher, you're going to have a little bit better outcome than if you use one of those in-bottle aerators.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. And another question we got is that some of the cheeses seemed like they had a really thick skin.
Yes.
And other than the ones that have a lot of wax on them, do you feel they're okay to be edible? Some people always wonder about.
A really common question: can you eat the rind? I tell people all the time, eat it if you like it. The white cheese, like I showed you, the Boucheron, or like a brie that you would get at a grocery store, those are all called Bloomy Rind. So if you see a white rind, those rinds are really designed to be eaten. I'm a rind eater. I love rind. I think the people who don't like rind have had a bad experience. What? That's a different rind. But the white rinds, like you get like a brie, they intensify the flavor, but if you've gotten a bad one, they can be ammoniated. And it tastes like pee-pee. So like people have had a bad experience. So like don't eat them. Barbara's laughing. So don't eat it if you don't like it. But the thicker rinds
and
are
be
like
careful about it. Like have it in a little bit,
just taste it, see if you like it. But the ones that are like the natural rinds that are like brown, that I said like the cheese handle, They're natural. You're not gonna, it's not gonna hurt you to eat it. But it's probably tougher. It's literally just the outside of the cheese that's come in contact with the cheese. So it's just gonna be a tougher, and sometimes even have grit in it because it's been aged on wood, in some cases. So those I do cut off, or I just nibble around. So it's a kind of a complicated answer. Eat it if you like it. Don't eat the tough brown ones because you're not gonna be happy.
That's funny. So it's a personal choice. I got it.
Yes.
So the other question that I think would be great for everybody, because all of us have, as we get older, have some sensitivity to dairy. And somebody was asking whether which cheeses you would think would be a little more good for the stomach, so that it's not.
I have such great news for everybody. So most people who have sensitivities to dairy are sensitive to lactose. So remember I told you the bacteria eats the cheese, or what they're really eating is lactose. So the more aged the cheese is, the less lactose. So once the cheese hits about 6 months, there is no lactose. So if you're lactose intolerant, you should be eating things like Pecorino Toscano or Reggiano, an aged cheddar, things like that. And you should stay away from fresh mozzarella because it's more like milk. So the softer the cheese, the more likely it's going to be to have lactose. The harder the cheese, the more likely to have no lactose whatsoever. Now, if you're sensitive to like protein cultures, then it's the opposite. But most people are sensitive to lactose. So most cheeses are fine for you to eat. And that's why you can eat cheese, but not ice cream. Sad, because I like ice cream. But
Well, ladies, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on. I
Yeah.
know what you expected when I invited you, and for me, it's always a new experience. But
yes,
thank you so much. I love your shop. You know how much I love your shop, so I'm
yes,
so
we love you
happy
for asking
you
us.
brought.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you. UVA
Yes.
Club really is thankful that you came, and thank you everyone for joining us, and good night to you all. Thank you so much.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye.
Take care. Good night.